Right, so I've been asked about equipment, blah blah blah. What do we use? We use all different ones. We train the dog in front of us at the end of the day. Been asked about halty. Just goes around the back of the neck. This goes over the nose. This clips to the collar. Little link there that you put your lead to. It's not a bad thing if you have a little pulley dog or a big pulley dog. However, you got to remember it only solves the issue for you, the owner, because it just makes the dog slightly more controllable. However, it doesn't solve nothing to the dog. All you do is pull the dog's muzzle away from the potential trigger. They never actually learn to get over anything. They never actually learn anything. So a great temporary tool, and to be fair, most other than a collar and lead, which is the most natural form with a dog, everything else is temporary and everything else is an aid to training at the end of the day. This does not replace training. People need to remember that. So slip leads, if you have a dog that pulls on a slip lead, people have said to me, oh well, I've got a dog that pulls on a slip lead, you can have a backup lead. Clip another lead that's longer than the slip lead onto the collar, that's your backup lead. If you're worried about the dog backing off or when you apply pressure or jumping around or whatnot, you have a safety lead, that's fine. You could also do that if you had a harness. You could do that with the front clip and just make sure that lead's longer, that's your safety net. Remember, slip leads need to be at the top. If they fall down like many of them do, a little hack is the collar that the dog would have on anyway. Make sure it's snug, push that up and put the slip lead on top of it so it sits there. There are double stepper ones online and we do custom make to order slip leads anyway. Harnesses, look, they are great for old dogs. They're great for dogs that actually know lead pressure, know how to walk well, no loose lead. That's fine. And they're great for like long lead training and stuff and other forms of training. But people don't take into account the problems with them. The only problem they see with a slip lead is, oh, you could choke your dog. That's it. There's so many more of a harness though. And any tool that in the wrong hands can be misused, you know, even the softest of tools. So with a harness you get opposition reflex, and what that is anything that hits the chest, the shoulders or the lower neck, the dog will front forward. So when you see bike work people, when you see police people, when you see rappers in videos, right, they have a collar at the bottom of the neck, will have a harness on, they lean back, the dog leans forward, and that's called opposition reflex. So when they feel pressure there, they want to lean into it. So if you put a harness on in your front room on the floor and just apply pressure on the back of the harness with a lead, what will happen is your dog will lean forward. It's called opposition reflex, right? The other thing about them is they're not clear communication. The amount of times I see people with little dogs or even big dogs and they're pulling their dog, really yanking their dog, but because it's on a harness, that's not a problem, right? But the thing is, that creates shoulder joint problems, and not only that, it's miscommunication, because all you do is reload your dog for the next lunge, because you pull it back, amplifying all the pressure on here, and then the dog then goes again, reloading and goes again. That's another reason why they're a bit crap. Like I said the other day, natural strides, you look at Crufts or any dog that walks on a collar, they walk prim and proper, yeah, which people go, oh, well, I don't care, but the thing is, it's joint problem. Joint problem is one of the rising things at the minute. All the trainers are like, oh, we see joint problems everywhere. Well, harnesses, yeah, is a big one of that. Misuse of them, too tight, too loose, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, the strides is a natural thing in their joints, you've got to remember that. They're crap for reactive dogs. Why trainers put a harness on a reactive dog is beyond me. A dog is shitting a brick in front of you. So what people do is they pull on the harness and then it hits their go button around the front here. And then the dog goes, oh, okay, boom, and then it goes. It doesn't know what to do, right? When you have a reactive dog, you don't want to be accidentally touching certain parts of the dog that are going to load it up, amplify them, and trigger them and set them off, right? That's just 101, you know what I mean? That's simple stuff. So a harness on a reactive dog, no good. That's why they might try and build a food drive, you know what I mean? Because dogs are clever in moments of uncertainty, stuff like that, or when they're scared, anxiety and stuff, they refuse food because they have a knot in their stomach and they're like, mate, I want food, yeah, I want to know how to get through this fucking scenario, which is where you, the owner, comes in with the right equipment. The last thing I've got to mention about harnesses, right, this is so important. Look at the category they bloody fall under. It tells you everything you want to know, right? They fall under the pulling equipment, right? Sledge dog, mountain rescue, fucking, you know what I mean? All of them are just, it's pulling equipment. When they do sport, so they hook up tyres, or they hook up a car to a dog, and they put a harness on it, and he fucking goes up a freight train. It's called pulling equipment. This is why I don't get why they're allowed to say no pull on harnesses. That's just false advertisement in my opinion, but because nothing will work without training. You need training, yeah, that's the most important thing. But remember, harnesses fall under pulling equipment. Look that up, right? Any sport world in the dog world, scent work as well, pulling equipment, it's harness, yeah? So what you're doing is you're not training your dog, you're bribing your dog with treats to try and walk at your side, yeah? Good things can come and it doesn't have to be food. Food is a stimulant, people need to remember that, okay? So remember to be calm, cool and confident. I'll see you all soon.